Welcome into OutKick, the show debate reaction version. It was a pass-fail debate for Joe Biden, the earliest debate between presidential candidates that we have ever seen by months, and it was an unmitigated disaster for Joe Biden. I do not see any way that he is going to be the nominee in November. I do not see any way that Joe Biden is going to win this election. I have been saying for months, if not years now, there is not a single job that Joe Biden could do at OutKick. There's not a single job that Joe Biden could do on the Clay and Buck radio show. There's not a single job that Joe Biden could do at Fox News. There isn't a single job that Joe Biden could do at any of the places all of you work. Yet he is right now auditioning to get 4 more years at the most important job in all of America. And on that audition tonight, he failed. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a liar. The same people who are telling you, oh, he's sharp as a tack behind closed doors. Well, how about be sharp as a tack in front of closed doors in the public, which is a big part of the job of being president of the United States. About 45 minutes into the debate, the Biden camp said that Biden had a cold. What they should have said is Joe Biden has dementia and he's not going to continue to run for president of the United States because his health doesn't allow it to happen. Dr. Jill Biden should be ashamed. She is a fraud. There's been a huge fraud perpetrated upon the United States by the entire Joe Biden regime. I have been telling you for some time, all you have to do is watch Joe Biden in the very limited moments when he's in public, and you can see quite clearly that he cannot do the job. Tonight, that was readily apparent to the tens of millions of people who sat down and watched this debate from the moment it began. Biden had brain freezes. He had sentences that meandered into different directions and did not end in any sort of logically coherent position. At one point, Trump even brought that home by saying, I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence, and I don't think he does either. I'm paraphrasing that a bit because I jotted it down. That, to me, was basically this debate in a single sentence. Now, there was humor, the golf, which I'll get to at the end, but actually, this was just sad. Joe Biden has no business being president of the United States for the next 6 months, much less for the next 4 years and 6 months. While Trump was president, we constantly heard about the necessity of the 25th Amendment being invoked because Trump supposedly didn't have the mental faculties to be president. If we were an honest country, on MSNBC right now and on CNN right now, they would be saying the truth, which is Biden can't be president. As bad as he was there, did it look that much different than it did at the G7? Did it look that much different than at the Juneteenth concert? Did it look that much different than the D-Day celebration? They all tried to tell us that we were being hoaxed, that we were not able to see with our own eyes what was readily apparent. Joe Biden has significant physical and mental deterioration and is not capable of being president of the United States right now, much less for the next 4 years and 6 months. Now, I don't know how they avoid that conclusion. And being honest with all of you, I don't think that's the best conclusion because I think what Democrats will do now is they will scramble. Over the 4th of July next week, there will be tons of behind-the-scenes meetings. And I expect that there will be tremendous pressure put on Joe Biden to announce that he will not run for president in November and that he will free all of his delegates. That's why this debate happened now. And if you listen to Clay and Buck, you know that. There was no reason to have a debate on June 27th. Except for Joe Biden to placate all the fears of the Democrat Party. This was a pass-fail debate for Joe Biden, and he failed. I will say, Biden was much worse than I thought he would be. This was Joe Biden at his absolute apex after one full week of debate preparation when he did nothing but sit at Camp David with 16 advisors and prepare for roughly 90 minutes of standing at a podium and speaking, and he was that bad. I disagree with Joe Biden on almost every policy. If 5 minutes before the debate was about to start, they had suddenly said, Clay, you have to stand in for Joe Biden in this debate, I would have been 10,000% better than he was. All of you know this, and I don't even agree with any of his policies. So I'm going to talk about Trump in a moment. I thought Trump out of the gate was very good. I thought he slowed down about halfway through. I thought he finished well. But it really isn't about Trump. Trump is a known quantity. He does public events all the time. He does interviews all the time. I've said to all of you, I've interviewed Trump 8 or 9 times at this point. Trump can sit for a full hour, no notes, and answer any question that I ask of him. Joe Biden could not do an hour on our radio show. Joe Biden couldn't do an hour interview with me. Joe Biden is not capable of doing any job in America, from Walmart greeter all the way up to President of the United States. And that was readily apparent to anyone who honestly watched tonight's debate. Now, right out of the gate, Biden, I thought, in addition to being incredibly bad, was also the less presidential of the two men. I did not expect that. Biden insulted Trump more than Trump insulted him. He peppered his answers as they were with far more insults. He looked and appeared angrier than Trump very often. Trump did not take his bait and did not allow himself to be goaded, even though I thought that Joe Biden was by far the less presidential of the two men, just in terms of the insults that were levied. And by the way, I don't have any major issue with insults. But from the moment we began, Biden walked in with kind of a weird wave to no one. It's an empty auditorium. Bad coughing from the get-go. Like I said, they later issued a statement that Biden had a cold, which was probably necessary because the optics of this was so bad. Those of you who have listened to me for a long time know that I'm a big believer in watching television without sound on. I did early morning radio for many years, Fox Sports Radio. I would sit in my chair just to my right here in my radio studio, and I would often have the television on, flipping around early in the morning, and I could tell who was talented on television without them even saying a word, just because so much of television and so much of visual medium in general is the aura and the projection and the charisma and the ability that you have to provoke interest. In fact, even to this day, as a guy who has been doing television for a long time now, I'm still surprised how often people react to things I don't say, but how I look while I say them. Biden, in the split screen next to Trump, often looked droopy, out of connection, his mouth hanging open, haggard, unable, it appeared based on his physical appearance, to even comprehend what was being said. It was an awful visual. Many people are not even going to recognize what was said about the specifics. They're simply going to look at the body language and the physical visage. And if you do that, yes, they may be only separated by 3 years, but Donald Trump is a much more virile, vibrant, filled with vim and vigor individual than Joe Biden is. No one can argue that, and that was without even requiring Joe Biden to move. Several different things in addition to the Biden's vacant expression. Biden said things that are not true and that are real missteps when it comes to millions versus billions. Early on, he said there were 1,000 trillionaires in America. I wish that was true. I'd like to be a trillionaire. I'd much rather be a trillionaire than a billionaire. unfortunately, I know that only a couple of American companies are even worth $1 trillion. Apple, NVIDIA, I think is now, Microsoft. There are not very many trillion-dollar companies in America. So some misspeaks are not all equal. That was a crazy one. Charlottesville. Biden claimed when he announced that he was running for president that the reason why he needed to do it was the very fine people hoax. Here is my only criticism of Trump of a substantive nature. Sometimes Trump doesn't explain the rough language that he uses. And I don't mean rough language in the context of cursing. I mean Russia, Russia, Russia. I mean the Hunter Biden laptop. There are tens of millions of people watching this debate. This is your opportunity to share stories with them that they might not otherwise hear. When Biden went on the Charlottesville hoax, Trump should have come back and said, look, he's lying to you. Let me explain what I said about Charlottesville. And oh, by the way, he claimed that he ran for president because of Charlottesville. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of Charlottesville's anti-Semitic protests from his supporters all over this country, all over campuses in America right now. So if he ran because of Charlottesville, he should resign on the spot because he's created thousands of Charlottesvilles by himself. That's what Trump should have said. And then he should have pivoted and he should have explained the Charlottesville hoax. What Trump said, go read the transcripts yourself if you do not believe me. Trump said that there were very fine people on both sides of the debate of whether or not to take down the Robert E. Lee statue in Charlottesville. Some very fine people said it should come down. Some very fine people said it should stay up. He specifically and categorically condemned neo-Nazis and anti-Jewish sentiment. The transcript and the video does not lie. Biden blatantly lied in what was, in my opinion, the single most dishonest moment of the entire debate. It ended with an argument about golf. I will tell you this right now. Trump would destroy Joe Biden on the golf course. If they would like to play a golf match, I would be happy to walk along and interview them on politics, sports, and every other subject while the golf tournament was going on. I will tell you this. Joe Biden couldn't play 18 holes of golf. He would not finish the round. I have been with Trump when he is playing golf. He's a really good golfer. He would easily finish the 18 rounds. In fact, 18 holes. In fact, the most recent time we interviewed him in person, he walked directly off the golf course, still in his golf spikes, and sat down and did an hour with us at Mar-a-Lago live on the radio with nobody else there to help him. So I would put every dollar I own on Donald Trump beating Joe Biden head-to-head in a match of golf because I don't think Joe Biden could even finish. A couple of other things that I thought stood out. Trump said, let's not act like children, and Biden immediately retorted, well, you're a child. They talked about abortion. I thought Trump handled that question well. Ultimately, to me, what this race is going to come down to for a lot of people is Biden can't run. Okay, and maybe I'll tell you who I think Democrats are going to pull the ripcord and break the glass and who they're going to go after. But ultimately, Biden doesn't have any good arguments. Okay, inflation went from 1.4% to 9.1%. It's currently, I believe, at 3.4% in his term so far in office. The average cost of goods is up 20%. That is, all of us, Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, are paying 20% more for the goods out there because inflation is embedded. And we measure it on a year-to-year basis, but the reality is 9% inflation doesn't vanish. It just fades away in the numbers, but it doesn't fade away in the prices. The border. At least 10 million illegals have crossed the border. Many people are being innocently killed, raped, and murdered by people who should never be in this country. The overall rate of violent crime has skyrocketed in this country during Joe Biden's tenure in office. We are at war in Ukraine. We are at war in Europe, in Ukraine, with the Ukraine-Russia border. And we are basically at war right now in the Middle East. That's happened on Joe Biden's watch. Early in the debate, Biden claimed that no American soldiers had died while he was president and somehow brought up Afghanistan when 13 American soldiers died, and we had the most chaotic, pathetic, indefensible withdrawal you could possibly imagine, which exposed American weakness and, I believe, emboldened Vladimir Putin to invade Ukraine and also for Hamas to attack on October 7th in Israel. I think Biden's weakness is a green light to America's adversaries. That's why I'm concerned that China still might invade Taiwan while Biden is still in office. When you saw Biden speak tonight, did you feel good about his ability to interact with world leaders? Did you feel good about his ability to take a phone call in the middle of the night and assess and analyze and make a reasoned judgment about a way to handle a major geopolitical crisis? Did you feel in any way encouraged that Joe Biden was the president of the United States right now, much less for 4.5 more years? Also, I will give a little bit of credit. I thought Jake Tapper and Dana Bash actually did a fairly good job of staying in general out of the fray and not interrupting the candidates when they were speaking. I thought it was funny occasionally when one of the debaters, the moderators, would say, "Sir, you still have a certain amount of time left." Whenever they said it to Trump, he tended to use it to make the argument that he wanted to make about a subject of his choice. Whenever they said it to Biden, he gave some sort of meandering, random collection of sentences that didn't seem connected in any way to reality. I would love to know right now what they are saying on MSNBC as I am speaking to you and what they are saying on CNN. I cannot believe that there will be any conversation other than the fact that Biden is not up for it, which I am not in favor of, because Biden should have to answer for his awfulness as president of the United States. As the incumbent, he should have to decide, we should all get to decide whether to reelect him and keep him in that job. Biden's going to lose. I think Democrats after this debate are increasingly aware of that. And that's why I think we've reached the, apologies to Jamal Bowman, pull the fire alarm moment for the Democrat Party. I believe that they are going to force out Biden. I think Biden will avoid endorsing Kamala Harris because she actually polls worse than him. I think that he will say he will follow the Barack Obama example. Remember, Obama did not endorse him. He allowed the process to play out. I think he will free all of his delegates. And in Chicago in August, all of those delegates will meet and select a new nominee, not much more than whatever it is, 3 months, less than 3 months away from the actual election. They will go after Michelle Obama, in my opinion. If they can get her, she might have a chance to beat Trump, which is why I don't want Biden to be replaced. If Michelle Obama does not want it, I think Democrats will make a calculated decision. Gavin Newsom will not play well. You also will not have J.B. Pritzker playing well. I think they'll look at the map. They realize that they're in trouble in Georgia. They're in trouble in Arizona. They're in trouble in Nevada. They're in trouble in North Carolina. They're not going to win any of those states. Trump is going to flip Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona. He's going to maintain North Carolina. That means Biden's only path, a.k.a. the Democrats' only path, with whomever they select, is to win Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I believe that the Democrats will pick Gretchen Whitmer and Josh Shapiro. Gretchen Whitmer is the governor of Michigan. Josh Shapiro is the governor of Pennsylvania. I think they will alight on those two. They will say, if we pick these two, we think, Pennsylvania and Michigan off the board. And in that process, all we'll have to do is win Wisconsin and our candidate will win. And they will roll the dice on that potential outcome. That is, I believe, what is going to take place over the next few weeks. Like I said, I thought Biden would be bad. I thought he would pass a low bar instead of fall beneath a low bar. He was an unmitigated disaster, and I don't believe there's any way to argue for anything other than his removal. I suspect that that is the conversation that will occur. I don't think even Democrats are going to be able to argue that that this is in any way an acceptable performance. And by the way, the staff that's watching right now, if you want to send in to me, as is starting to occur on my phone, any Democrat responses to this, I think it's going to be one of the most difficult spin rooms of all time. This is like me trying to spin that I'm the best looking man on the planet. This is like the Tennessee Titans trying to spin that they're going to win the Super Bowl. Sometimes you just don't have a good argument. CNN lower third as I'm speaking to you right now. Breaking news, Democrat Party official on Biden performance, nothing good. And I just got to tell you, this is frankly unbelievable. I'm also told that Dr. Jill had to help Joe Biden off the stage at the end. I didn't see that. I just want to say this. I've been married 20 years. I have a public job. Every day you can listen to me talk for 3 hours. You can listen to me talk on Fox News. You can listen to me talk on OutKick the show. You can see everything that I tweet. But I've said that, I'm going to say this publicly to you. I've said this to my wife. If I ever start to slip like Joe Biden, I have told this to my wife. I'm telling it to you guys right now. Please tell me. It is not kind to allow someone to try to do a job that they are not physically capable of doing. Dr. Jill Biden should be ashamed. If she truly loves Joe Biden, what she is doing to him is not kind. It is cruel. It is elder abuse. All of us are going to age and lose speed off of our fastballs no matter what we do. It is inevitable. I hope that my decline mentally is as slow as it can possibly be. I hope that I live into my 90s and I'm like Warren Buffett, still analyzing balance sheets and making brilliant business decisions and brilliant logical conclusions in my 90s. It's unlikely to happen. When I begin to slip, I do not want to hang on and become a shell of myself. The saddest thing about Joe Biden is he wanted the job of President of the United States for his entire life, and he got it when he no longer had the mental capability to do the job. Whatever job you dream of, imagine that you finally got it, and by the time you got it, you weren't ever able to do it. I don't think Joe Biden ever would have been a good president. But I think if he had been a president in his 50s or his 60s, he could have done the job. Trump, I think, can do the job for the next 4 years. But if we were an honest country, we would be having a conversation about why we have an age minimum of 35 years old and we do not have an age maximum. You can't fly a jet in America after the age of 65. I personally would be in favor of saying no one in their 70s can ever get elected for the first time to President of the United States. You have to be between 35 and 69 years old to be President of the United States. That's a 35-year window. That seems very fair to me. Trump is light years better than Biden. But the fact that we have two 80-something, basically, year-old people running for president of the United States is not an endorsement of the American democratic process. And the fact that one of those 80-year-olds is trying to put the other 80-year-old in prison for the rest of his life because he can't beat him fair and square is actually what a true threat to democracy is. I want to close by saying, let's look at the actual numbers. Lots of people are going to talk. You've heard me yapping for a half hour here right now. Ultimately, where the money goes tells a story. Joe Biden entered into tonight trailing Donald Trump in the gambling markets. His odds have collapsed during the course of tonight's debate. With nearly $188 million bet, Donald Trump now has a 65% chance to be elected the next president of the United States. Joe Biden is at 22%. Gavin Newsom is all the way up to 7%, the governor of California. Kamala Harris, 4%. Michelle Obama, 4%. Other Democrat politician, 2%. That is in the presidential election winner market. The chances that Biden drops out of the presidential race are at an all-time high, 35% in live wagering. Democrat nominee, Joe Biden now down to 69% chance of being the Democrat nominee. Gavin Newsom, 14% chance, followed by Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama. I'm going to continue down some of these bets. Presidential popular vote winner, Donald Trump is nearly the favorite to be the popular vote winner. And Biden's not even in there now. Other Democrat politician is the leader. This is an unmitigated disaster. CNN breaking news. Aggressive panic from Democrats after Biden's performance tonight. Negative CNN quotes. In many cases, he was not coherent. This is what they are saying on CNN. There's concern that there's been damage done that cannot be undone. Sense of shock. The panic has set in. This is what is going on right now. Again, I want Joe Biden to be the nominee because I don't think there's any way possible that he is going to beat Donald Trump. Trump was very good. I barely talked about Trump's performance because I think Biden's awfulness is the story. The first 30 minutes or so was Trump with his fastball. He didn't look any different. He didn't appear to have aged at all. He pivoted and parried and addressed questions in a coherent, logical, reasonable fashion. The disconnect, not just visual, but auditory in the way that both men communicated was striking. And remember, Trump did no practice. He's been going around the country doing events everywhere. Meanwhile, just think about it. This was Biden with 1 full week of preparation. If they didn't give him drugs, they should have. If he did have drugs, he needed a lot more. Biden's done, in my opinion, as president of the United States. If I'm Trump, I'm not even sure I bother to debate him again. I think there could be a conversation about that because Biden is going to be in a Hail Mary situation when they had that September debate. This is, I think, a knockout punch. The panel on MSNBC right now suggested the problem was Biden was on the right hand of the stage. That surely was the key issue here. Anyone who is telling you that Biden is capable of being president of the United States is lying to you. It's fine to have a variety of opinions, but as soon as you know that someone is lying to you, you should trust that person less. Anyone telling you that Joe Biden is capable of being president of the United States is lying to you. And I'm looking right now at the video one of you sent to me of Jill Biden having to lead Joe Biden off the stage after the performance. Again, she should be ashamed. She let him do this. It is utterly indefensible. That is the biggest takeaway of the night. All right. I love all of you. I'll be live tomorrow on Clay and Buck. If you've never watched us before, I imagine a lot of you will be watching this. You'll be like, who's this guy, Clay Travis? You should go check out OutKick.com. We struggle and strive every single day, try to be smart, original, funny, and authentic on the internet, and try to be as honest as we possibly can with all of you amidst all the maelstrom every single day. Thanks for watching. I haven't heard. I read a few reviews, but I have not sat and watched anybody else's opinion. This is me, direct, unfiltered, straight from watching the debate to talk to you. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP, Have great 4th of Julys. I'm headed down to the beach tomorrow right after I finish Clay and Buck and do Martha McCollum's show on Fox News. I will see all of you tomorrow.